Hello and welcome to Not Every Single. I'm Joe.
And I'm Stephanie.
It's the show where we talk about new music. And this week we got new tracks from Charli XCX, Rina Sawayama, and Tove Lo, which I'm excited to talk about, and Steve Lacy. First time I've heard of Steve Lacy. Let's get right into it. Start with Charli.
Yeah.
All right. Song's called Hot Girl, and it's from the upcoming A24 meta horror comedy Bodies, Bodies, Bodies.
And we're not super A24 fan people like some, but I have to say I get excited about their movies a lot, and this one I am excited for, partly because the song is perfect in the trailer.
It feels like how this movie feels. I think she nailed the tone. It feels just self-serious enough, but mostly self-aware and heightened, which she's very good at, being this heightened sort of maximalist approach in both production and aesthetically and visually. It was a perfect choice for a collaboration.
Kind of going counter even though to the maximalism, the bass is amazing. It comes in, it starts it out, it's so full, it grabs you immediately, and then it just keeps going. It doesn't change the whole song.
I really like that kind of structure for her. The sort of driving force of a song that's unrelenting rather than a traditional structure where you have to have the breaks and the pre-chorus and then a drop. But I like this better because, I think we're kind of both in the same boat with Charli as far as what we think of her discography and our fandom. I really like her in concept. Her documentary, which she shows close relationship with her fans and how that was maintained, and she made a record during lockdown and how they stayed connected through that. It's really cool. And I love her show on Netflix where she helps put together the band Nasty Cherry. But I never feel like I can really latch on to a full record.
There's definitely always acts like that where for both of us where it's like this is the coolest idea for a band and why don't I like it a little
Yeah.
bit more?
Yeah.
She's great. Clearly she does not need any help. She has a great huge fan base. So me being a little iffy on some of her stuff has no effect on the fact that she's doing something very much right.
Oh, yeah.
And this song I loved.
And we loved, well, I wouldn't say loved. We liked some of her. I liked that record from Lockdown, How I'm Feeling Now, maybe a little more than you did.
I only listened to it once, and so
Okay.
I feel like, and that was a long time ago. So I don't really think my opinion really means much because I don't remember it.
Well, she has a pretty seminal record called Pop 2.
Phone's done ringing? Nope,
No, it's a landline, believe it or not.
not ours.
It's at the place we're staying, and a landline is ringing.
That's the most it's ever rung.
I think it stopped.
It's 9:38. Who's calling?
She has a pretty seminal record called Pop 2 that I do think is great. But I think what hyperpop and whatever you'd like to call her genre is missing for me is some grounded darkness. It's very bombastic and like I said, almost like a heightened thing. But I think that's why I like How I'm Feeling Now the best. It lets a little more human into it.
Yeah, I should probably listen to that album again. I really did enjoy her documentary a lot. It's a fine line she walks, being so close to her fans, like how you juggle that as a super famous person and just keeping your own sanity while still giving yourself to people like that. Clearly it means a lot to her to have those connections.
You know what I wrote down about this song is that higher backing vocal is awesome, and along with the deep, dirty bass, really made the song for me.
Yeah, that came in, and at first my first thought was, are these children's voices, or is it, and it becomes pretty clear it's pitched up
Yeah.
vocals, but it made me think of, Hard Knock Life, Jay-Z,
Yeah. Yeah.
with that was a thing. I don't know if there were other songs that had that
I
around
think
then.
so. I think it was a bit of a trend for a while.
Yeah, so
I
it brought me back.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought those were super cool. And you know what I noticed is a Vroom Vroom reference in there,
Oh, yeah.
which is interesting. And I think I remember hearing that she is playing her older hits live now more than she was in the past. It's almost like a Radiohead creep type relationship where then they come back around like, we'll play it. I think that's cool.
But not so begrudgingly,
Yeah.
perhaps.
Yeah, not so begrudgingly. Just kind of like, you know what, we accept it now. It's part of us. And I think having the Vroom Vroom reference in there is funny and sort of lends to the self-awareness of how this movie seems like it's going to be.
And the vocals are, we were saying it's sort of like talk singy.
Yeah, I definitely hear it. And it goes along with this sort of theme of some of the stuff we're talking about this week, which is like a 90s club influence coming back.
House. I actually was looking because we are going to talk about the Beyonce album, and I noticed the genre it was described was like disco, house, Afro beat.
Yeah. Yeah. So the club thing is totally back.
Yeah, it's very much back. This is very much a modern take on it, bringing in a lot of different stuff. I love the lyrics; they're kind of fun and funny. It, it's this is a weird comparison, but it reminded me kind of like a Flight of the Conchords song. The show, if anyone hasn't seen that show, it's like a joke band, but it's because they would take real genres and they would like make a funny song, but the like music would actually be good.
Yeah. They're very musically talented, and rarely was it a direct parody of a song like a Weird Al situation, and more of like they're nailing this type of song. Like, this type of song, and then it's like they do it perfectly.
But then
And
like the lyrics would be like so clearly stupid. And this is like that, but then the lyrics are just like fun and good, but silly still.
it's a fine line. I mean, it really is. You're making a song for a self-aware movie that could almost be called a parody as much as you would call Scream a parody, or is it just a smart meta self-aware film? And it seems like she really tackled the song in a similar way and really stuck the landing.
Yeah, I mean, this song, since the first time I've heard it was in the trailer for Bodies, 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 it's like inextricable to me now, as I associate this song with the visual imagery of the neon, like the light necklaces, and and they're in this house and everyone's getting bloodier and like the makeup's getting more, and Pete Davidson's there.
Yeah, and like a pink hoodie or something. It really ties into a note I made here, which is all of Charlie's music makes me think of the film Spring Breakers. You didn't see that one,
I
right?
did not, but I know what you
One
mean.
of the first A24 movies, actually.
Oh yeah, and the
Yeah.
cast. You could probably just like slide the cast of Bodies, Bodies, Bodies into Spring Breakers, like Pete Davidson instead of James Franco, and
Selena Gomez, and she
yeah,
was in that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Similar vibe, and that is definitely the type of imagery that's evoked with this kind of Charlie song and numerous ones in the past.
I have to say it's my favorite I've heard of hers. The bass does it for me.
I agree. I really want more hard driving songs like that from her. I would love if a next record sounded like that. And just to throw out there, I am still digging into Crash. Heard it a couple times, still sort of wrapping my head around it, but I I do want to talk about that album at some point.
And just to throw in also, like, this is a song for a horror movie. It's a meta movie, but it's a horror movie. And maybe that's like the magic sauce that's getting us, because we like horror movies,
true.
we like dark pop, we like creepy things in general. So maybe it's that horror vibe
Yeah,
that's really doing it.
that's the easiest way to reel me in. If you want to sell me on a song, like it's sort of, sort of creepy, almost like a horror adjacent, and then I'm like, oh, I'm in. Like that's a big reason I liked a lot of the first Billie Eilish record, and I love clipping and anything like that.
Clipping, yeah.
That's bringing in that horror vibe and even imagery.
Yeah, well, Poppy's
Poppy.
I Disagree album in particular.
Oh, definitely. And even the earlier, like, sort of uncanny valley-ness of her early projects, which I know were,
That was a
yeah,
bad situation.
bad
but
situation
she's-
for her.
But even better now than she was then. So
We might go see her in October, opening for Smashing Pumpkins. How about that?
are we going to be able to afford it? That's the question.
Yeah, it's at Madison Square Garden. We'll see. But it's right around my birthday. Maybe we'll spring for it. All right. Moving on from Charli.
Yeah.
Okay. Time to talk about Rina. I know you have taken in a lot more of her music than I have.
Yeah, I started listening to her probably within the past couple of years. I don't know, maybe her albums might not even be that old. I just have listened to the two albums that she's put out before a few times each, and I really appreciated the different references she makes and the variety in what she's doing, but also the modernization. So yeah, she's got Rina and she's got Sawayama, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I've definitely heard Sawayama from 2020. Probably standard edition, not deluxe. Have not heard Rina.
Yeah, that one's a little bit more like late 90s based, though she uses those kind of, like, Britney Spears is obviously like a big influence on her vocally,
Totally.
but you'll also see TLC, Aaliyah, Destiny's Child, those kinds of artists. She brings in a little bit of everything from that era, and it really spans into the 2000s, the sort of original new pop renaissance that was happening.
Yeah. Well, I wrote down 90s and circled it, and that's definitely what's going on here with the 3 new songs. I'm assuming leading up to an album. I didn't look that up, but I'm assuming that's what's happening. Hold the Girl is the newest song. Catch Me in the Air, right? Catch Me. Yeah. I can't read my own handwriting sometimes. It's very bad. Catch Me in the Air and This Hell. What'd you think of these?
Well, so this is sort of a way that Spotify now compiles. She's had 3 singles and they're all put together. I think they're very cohesive. They do lack a little something to me. And you are not fully on board in general with her music.
I was a little all over the place on these, and I think I remember feeling similarly about the 2020 record. I'm definitely going to wait for the album to come out and give it a solid listen and see if this clicks for me, but for now I'm a little all over the place with it. Yeah.
Yeah. It comes in with a sort of, this is going farther back, it comes in with sort of a Madonna, like a prayer type of instrumental
Totally, yeah.
and vocal delivery. There's a time when Madonna had that sort of when she had that sort of like generic, more mainstream, I guess, type of a voice. When she first started, her voice was very strange.
Okay.
I don't think people really realize, going back to, like a Virgin and
You can hear it. The Madonna record I play the most is Immaculate Collection, which is a kind of a greatest hits collection. And when I worked at the record store, that was a good one to throw on. And you can definitely hear that since it's rolling through the eras.
Right. And she's like getting more traditional vocal training, I'm assuming. And so that comes in on this. The other vocal comparison, there's a few I'd make on these 3 singles. Definitely going for the Lady Gaga kind of a thing. The sort of like arena Lady Gaga, the less weird Lady Gaga stuff.
Sure. Okay.
Because she has an incredible technical voice. And so I feel like Rina's doing that, but then she's not pushing her voice into interesting places with these songs.
Yeah, you know what's odd here? I haven't really had this happen before, but especially on Hold the Girl, I feel like I couldn't really pay attention to the vocal all that much because there is a lot going on, starting with this is the second song we're talking about in a row that has an engine revving sound to start because the Charli track did as well, or at least something that sounds like that. And I mean, I wrote, it reminds me of 40 different things, but I have no time to even like think about that or remember what I'm thinking of. It's like, I mean, it's someone with a clicker remote control, just like boom, 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 boom. And it kind of, the song as sitting on its own sort of feels like this barrage to me that I couldn't really latch onto. I'm hoping in the record, wherever it sits in the track list and whatever is surrounding it, maybe it'll work better in context. But this song was such a whirlwind for me that I really couldn't sink my teeth into it.
Yeah, and this one and kind of in each of these three, it's weird, I'm seeing the Lady Gaga type of a delivery, but there's also a country pop inflection coming through as well. Very, very Shania Twain.
I do have that written down. Shania Twain, I wrote under This Hell. It definitely has that.
And This Hell starts with famous Shania Twain. I was just listening to a Switched on Pop about her, and she did this more than I realized. She liked to kind of have a little catchphrase or something to start her song. So she's on Man, I Feel Like a Woman. Great song. It starts, Let's Go Girls.
Well,
Yeah. You can not hear that without. So what a choice to put that in. I mean, it's clearly a reference.
Totally, yeah.
I kind of like it more, but the song, I've listened to these songs probably like 4 or 5 times, most of them, these 3 singles, and they're still not really clicking for me, especially compared to her back catalog. I'm up and down on it, but there's a lot of songs that I'm just like, oh, this is so cool, and I'm not finding that here.
I'm more into Catch Me in the Air and This Hell. Hold the Girl is this thing I don't understand yet. I mean, that's probably not a good way to put it. I'm just trying to disguise me saying like I didn't really like a song because I try not to do that on this show. I find that a very negative thing to say. But Catch Me in the Air, I do want to share that I wrote that it sounds like the trailer for a 90s high school / going off to college film. Like you can hear the song be playing and they'd be like, you know what, guys, we're always going to stay friends, you know? It was that kind of song.
Yeah, I mean,
Rachel Lee Cook would be in it. Freddie would be there. Prince
Joseph
Jr.,
Gordon-Levitt, maybe.
Yeah. And
Heath Ledger.
yeah, they'd all be kicking around.
And then, maybe Paul Walker as a jock, like
Yeah.
in She's All That. He's got a varsity jacket.
With his way too deep voice for being a teen. Maybe Breckenmeyer would be a wacky character. He'd be like the stoner guy.
Be Breckenmeyer or Seth Green.
Yeah, either or. They could really just switch them out scene by scene, really. In those movies, it doesn't matter.
I have a soft spot for Breckenmeyer, probably because he's in Kate and Leopold.
I have a soft spot for Seth Green, so we'll just trade off.
What's the origin of that, or just in general?
Just in general, he's a little funny guy, you know. I liked. I mean, going back to It, the old.
Oh yeah.
The old It. He was. I forget the character's name, but he's as a little kid, he was in It.
So that's the movie we're pitching. That's the cast. I don't know what it's called.
I guess it's called Catch Me in the Air because that song is definitely the soundtrack to that fictional film.
Lead single, the video has clips from the film.
I miss that actually. The music video having clips from the movie. Does that happen anymore? Did that happen with the new Top Gun Lady Gaga one?
Oh, I watched that.
Did it have clips
I
from the
think
movie?
it did.
I liked when they tried to incorporate it organically. Like the band would be performing and then they'd walk by like a TV and then like the TV has the movie going and it's like Dashboard Confessional playing and like somehow they work in scenes from Spider-Man 2. Yeah, I miss those music videos.
Those were some classic times of our lives.
Animal Crackers for the Aerosmith video.
Oh my gosh, people are going to be so confused. They haven't seen that.
They gotta know the Animal Crackers scene from Armageddon. Come on, who doesn't?
It's in the Criterion collection, so you should see it.
It is in the Criteria collection, which is weird. Michael Mann Michael Mann is great. Michael Bay has, I think, 2 films in the Criterion collection.
Okay,
What
this
the
is
hell?
so off topic, but like, how can he have 2? Like, David Fincher has 2, but his 2 worst movies, and somehow Armageddon's in there, and like Panic Room isn't.
I know. Yeah, Panic Room never gets the love it deserves. Okay, we're so off track. Let's get back to it. Are we done? Are we even done talking about Rina? Is that it?
I think so. I mean, yeah, it's fine. You're going to give it another chance. I'll probably just listen to the older stuff until the album comes out, and maybe the context will help.
I'm going to cut everything we said, and I'll just have you say, it's fine.
It's fine.
Tove Lo. Am I saying it right?
I don't know. And I did not even know this. I didn't know if this was a band, a person. Like, read the name in like indie heads or pop heads or whatever. Had no idea what was happening with this person.
I've heard some.
Yeah.
So I knew a little bit, and I've generally liked it. And I liked this one a lot. This is a new track called To Die For. That's number 2, Die number 4.
Yeah, we still doing that kind of thing.
Run to Me.
Yeah. Oh gosh, a Smashing Pumpkins like really obscure reference.
There's an awful
Don't listen to it.
pumpkin song called Run to Me. Oofa doofa. Okay.
What was that?
What?
No one's ever said that.
All right. Tove Lo, To Die For. I really like this song. I think it had simplistic but great hooks.
Maybe not simplistic, but just simple. Simplistic sort of makes it seem.
Oh, like it's basic.
Yeah.
No, not at all. But they're simple, good hooks that work together well. Mm-hmm. And she's sort of taken there's like a back and forth between her vocal and the synth line, and I really like that. You know, it's sort of acting like another lead vocal instead of coming under the top line, which is the lead vocal. And so when she's singing, it's the voice. Then she steps back, the cool synth comes in. Everything sort of takes turns, has room to breathe. And I think especially coming off of listening to Rina, where it's sort of, like I said, like a barrage, this was a breath of fresh air that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I think the production was the highlight for me. I didn't love this song, but I was very intrigued by the whole conversation that the production was having. It seemed like always a different thing was being featured.
Yeah.
Throughout the song, the vocal, the synth, the bass, the robot voice, the percussion, little keys coming in here. It was always switching.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I liked about it. I thought it was a cool arrangement and feels like it would sound good at any volume. Like this thing hits hard.
It's a good point because I'm listening it on my, not these, but like on some like okay headphones coming from my phone, and it sounds really good. But when I was listening to it, I thought, well, this is meant to be played at a club.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's going with everything we're talking about here, and we'll get to the outlier soon, but everything sounds like a 90s club hit. Recently, I asked my Aunt Jen what year she graduated high school, and I looked up the top songs. And
What year was it?
I forget what year it was,
Okay.
but it sort of had the like, oh yeah, the 90s club, like underground club sound was bleeding into the mainstream, and it was really starting to take over. And at least in my mind, that culminated with Believe by Cher,
Oh, yeah.
where in the video she's in the club and the green lasers and the auto tune. Like at that point, that sound was now just fully in the zeitgeist and was no longer at all underground. It was completely mainstream. And then I think that it sort of peaked there, went dormant for a while, and now we're seeing
Then
it come back.
It was very not cool for a while.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we did that thing. Oh my gosh, it's kind of like how disco was so reviled and now it's everywhere again. Yeah, and it's got the obligatory bass drop, which for a long time that was the sort of like, okay, you're waiting, you're waiting, you're waiting, and then the bass drops and everyone's like, yeah. So it was like this song does a bass drop with like every instrument. So there's multiple opportunities in the song to be like, oh wait, here it is. Yeah. And then
Yeah.
oh wait, it's coming, this part's coming. Yeah. And it's not like verse, chorus, verse, like just repetition. It's
Designed for
constantly.
the club.
Yeah.
I like how we talk about the club like we've ever been to a club.
Never been to a club.
Yeah, never been to a club, but I can recognize the musical trends. How cool are we? I guess we'll get into Steve Lacy.
Yeah, you are not a fan of this. I like this song. You are. What are we going with? Not a fan.
Not a fan. Now, listen, as I've said before, I try not to be negative on this show. I'm going to give this song another chance, but I've heard it twice now, and there's something about the voice crack in that one, like, that note that goes up in the hook, and the overuse of the "Wish I Knew" part of the vocal. It's bugging me. I felt a little annoyed. I felt like something was bugging me. I thought it was a cool melody. I guess maybe I'm just not into Steve Lacy's vocal delivery. But I'll try. I'll have to try it again. What did you think?
You might listen to some of his other stuff. I listened to a few other things. I like this one. It's not like, yeah, I've listened to it a few times. Not totally sure if it'd be like a long-term listen for me. I picked this because it's one of the top streaming songs right now. He's a top streaming artist.
Yeah.
Clearly there's a cultural want for something like this, maybe going along with the Song of Summer discussion we had previously.
It is summery.
Not a lot of there is a bit. It's like I wrote down like pop punk attitude, but I think it's more like kind of what you were saying with the Rina thing, is like that your 2000 teen movie vibe.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I try to put things into a box too much, but I was sort of distracted thinking like, what kind of thing is this? And I couldn't really place it.
It's not, yeah, it's really kind of genre bending.
I mean, it's definitely if I had to summarize, I'd say, it's like a summer upbeat indie rock song.
Mm-hmm. And it's got what I would say is low effort vocal. It's an easy vocal, not as like in the sense that, oh, anyone can do it. Just like the delivery has an ease to it.
Yeah.
There's some bouncy synth that I think I was into that part of it. At a certain point, there's some acoustic guitar that kind of goes by itself, and then the synth comes back in. There's I guess, sort of a sweetness to it. I don't usually like twee types of things, but there's something sort of endearing to me about it. And yeah, it's in that, it's kind of going for that spot where we were saying is not the song of summer. There's not the like breezy hit. The
Yeah,
Harry Styles is sort of like almost there.
I noticed last week when we were picking the songs to discuss, we're looking at the top tracks, and it was the same as this week, which is here's a bunch of the top tracks, and they kind of all feel like they mesh together well. And now here is upbeat, beachy indie rock outlier. Mm-hmm. It's the odd man out, and it was that song "Heat Waves" by Glass Animals, song which I also wasn't that into. So we just decided not to talk about it. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. But I'm noticing that trend that there's always at least one stuck in there.
Yeah. Yeah. These songs are around. It seems to be the minority, like you said. But actually, this was something I listened to that I didn't mention to you. Haley Steinfeld
Oh yeah,
has
okay.
a like I think it has the word coast in the title. It's that's a very beachy one, but it's the more produced, sort of slick version where this is. It's almost like a bedroom produced
Yeah,
sounding.
it's a little garage rocky, I'd say.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And so, I mean, I'm not mad that people like it.
I'm
It's,
upset.
I do like it myself, but I'm having a hard time pinpointing what it is.
Yeah, it's a tough, as you can see as we stutter over our words. It's kind of a tough one to pin down and a tough one to talk about, just like how we feel about it overall. I definitely have to listen to it more, and I will check out more Steve Lacy and sort of see what it's all about. But I do want to make a recommendation.
Oh yeah, go for it.
If someone likes this song and the Glass Animals song, there's a band called Waves that I really enjoy. That is upbeat, beachy indie rock with really interesting production. And believe it or not, Zach Hill of Death Grips used to drum for this band for a
Oh,
short period of time.
wow. And that's waves with two V's.
That is Waves with two V's. And in particular, I'll recommend, I think, 2017's album You're Welcome, which was one of my favorite albums of that year. And when I worked at a record store, I played that a lot that summer. And I think if you like these songs, you'll definitely like that record. Check it out.
So based on this week, we have two songs for our teen movie soundtrack
Yeah.
so far. Maybe we'll make a giant playlist at the end of the summer.
Yeah, there we go.
Songs, soundtrack songs of summer.
And a fictional cast list. Maybe we'll start mapping out a plot. I think this movie's going to come together.
This could get out of hand
How do we
very
get
quickly.
How do we get Breckenmeyer on the phone?
Okay, so what's the wrap up? What's the conclusions? I guess it doesn't always have to go neatly together with the bow.
Yeah, I think that's just it. There's a unique trend where there's always that one beach rocker stuck in there, and I'm interested to see what's next, what's coming in August. Obviously, the biggest music news right now is there's a new Beyonce record out. Now, we've listened to it, we've taken notes, listened to it multiple times, talked about it a little bit, but we're saving it for its own episode. It's going to be a full album deep dive.
Yeah, that's it for today. It's getting late.
I'm going to go to bed. Good night.
Oh, that's it? Okay, good night.
I'm going to go to bed. Good night. That's how it ends.
That's how we end them all now. Bye.
Bye.